A class action lawsuit is underway against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. The Venezuelan migrants flown out of Texas to Massachusetts say they were tricked into boarding planes to Martha's Vineyard. Good afternoon, I'm Karen Holmes Ward. The scheme orchestrated by Florida's Republican governor is gaining some praise from his supporters and facing some significant backlash. A group of Venezuelan migrants filing this class action lawsuit against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, alleging they were stripped of their dignity, deprived of their liberty, bodily autonomy, due process, and equal protection under the law when they say they were manipulated into getting on planes in San Antonio and brought to Martha's Vineyard.
The persons that were flown to Martha's Vineyard were deceived, were misinformed.
Elena Olea is with Alianza Americas, a plaintiff in this lawsuit. She points to these brochures the migrants were given and we obtained on the vineyard, which claim to provide job placement, housing and food assistance, English learning, and 8 months of cash assistance for income-eligible refugees.
Services available for refugees. They are asylum seekers. They do not have access to those services.
While the civil action is taking place, the sheriff in Texas, where those migrants originated, he's opening a criminal investigation.
They feel they were lied to. They feel that they were deceived in being taken from Bexar County, from San Antonio, Texas, to where they eventually ended up. They feel like that was done through deceptive means. That could be a crime here in Texas, and we will handle it as such.
I am very glad that the sheriff chose to open an investigation. I think that's the right thing to do.
Governor DeSantis says the allegations the migrants were transported under false pretenses is untrue.
The state of Florida, it was volunteer, offered transport to sanctuary jurisdictions.
And joining me now is Marian Albert with the Lawyers for Civil Rights. Your organization filed a class action lawsuit against Florida Governor DeSantis. What's the ultimate goal of the lawsuit, and do you think it's going to stop future flights?
Hi, Karen. Yes, Lawyers for Civil Rights has filed a class action lawsuit against Ron DeSantis, the state of Florida, and his conspirators. And what we seek with this lawsuit is we want to obtain a nationwide injunction to stop the shipment of immigrants across state lines that was done through fraudulent inducement, right, by the state of Florida and Governor DeSantis.
All right, so let's get to the response from Florida's governor. His office released a statement that says, in part, the transportation of the immigrants to Martha's Vineyard was done on a voluntary basis. The immigrants were homeless, hungry, and abandoned, and these activists didn't care about them. DeSantis said the migrants on the flights consented and that they provided this signed form as evidence. What do your clients say about those pamphlets and the forms that they received?
Yeah. Well, in regards to the consent form, right, two things I would say about that. We think that this is evidence, further evidence of the deception that our clients experienced. The consent forms are not completely translated to Spanish. There are material information that is missing in the Spanish translation. So our clients could not provide informed consent if material things are missing from that consent form. On top of that, they weren't given time to even review really what they were signing. And, ultimately, it also doesn't address the fact that they were given these documents based on false promises, right? So, again, how could they provide informed consent at that point?
Did they receive the forms before they boarded the plane?
They boarded it, yes, they obtained the document before they boarded the plane. But, again, the part to emphasize here is they can't give informed consent if the form is missing material information in Spanish. And again, it doesn't address the issue that they were there to begin with on false promises.
So we've heard that they received one form on, before boarding the plane and more information after they got on the plane.
Correct. Once the plane landed in Martha's Vineyard, our clients were handed shiny red folders that contained the brochure that you just demonstrated. And this brochure contained information that is not appropriate for immigrants like them because they have not been adjudicated as refugees. Many of them have been granted humanitarian parole, but that does not make them eligible for these types of benefits. So again, demonstrating the fraud.
Now, we've heard that your office, the Venezuelan migrants, and many of the people that helped the migrants on Martha's Vineyard have been receiving threatening calls.
Right, yes, that has been a part of this whole experience, and that is why Lawyers for Civil Rights has filed this lawsuit under pseudonym so that our clients will be anonymous, and it will protect them from, extortion and threats, both here in the U.S. and for their family in Venezuela, which is.
Now, you had a chance to spend some time on Martha's Vineyard with these people that arrived there unexpectedly. Tell us, if you will, the journey that some of your clients have taken from Venezuela and why they fled the country.
Sure. Our clients have been telling us very alarming experiences, right? They fled Venezuela because they are fleeing state-sanctioned violence in the form of police violence, and then also gang violence and the oppression of political dissent. So this is the reasons why they fled Venezuela. They took on this, huge journey to the United States, where many of them also experienced a lot of violence. One specific person was kidnapped and tortured in Mexico, and then being put through this whole experience has also been very traumatizing.
Authoritarian socialist regime there in Venezuela.
Right, yes, yes.
So what's next for this group? We've heard some have already left Joint Base Cape Cod. What's next for those remaining?
Right, so the process is ongoing. Many are still trying to figure out their next steps. What Lawyers for Civil Rights, pro bono attorneys, and other community volunteers have been doing is to ensure that the migrants are connected to services that they may need, and then also ensuring that they're connected with an immigration attorney to explore next steps in their immigration proceedings.
Will they have to travel back to Texas, or can they stay in this area?
I think that's still being worked out, right? People are still trying to figure out what their next steps are, but the local authorities and all the volunteers, including Lawyers for Civil Rights, are ensuring that all their needs are met while they are here, if that's what they decide to do.
Now, U.S. Customs and Border Protection says it's already encountered 2 million migrants along the nation's border with Mexico just in this year alone. What's the answer to what's obviously a broken immigration system?
It just highlights that something needs to be done, right, to address this situation. But again, the important thing to remember in this situation is that the state of Florida, Governor DeSantis cannot continue to ship immigrants under false pretenses across state lines.
All right, Marian Albert from the Lawyers for Civil Rights, thanks for joining us. Now, a flashback to 1961. Southern segregationists bust a few dozen black families to Hyannis, telling them they would meet President Kennedy and would be given jobs and a chance for a better life. Their arrival surprised residents who did help them. They were given housing at Camp Edwards and at Cape Cod Community College. They were called Reverse Freedom Riders. It was how Southern segregationists pushed back against the civil rights movement and freedom riders who were helping black people sign up to vote. History repeating itself this past week on the Cape. Up next, stories of a different journey, how a local artist is illuminating the culture and history of an immigrant community, the unique lanterns lighting the gateway to Boston's Chinatown. That's next.